Hi students, welcome to video lectures of speech and natural language processing. So in today's class, we'll talk about phonological categories and pronunciation variation. So introduction to phonology. Let's start. Phonology is the study of how sounds function in a particular language and the rules governing their combination. Phonology examines how phonemes, that is distinct sound units, organize into systems and patterns within a language. So phonemes can behave differently depending on their linguistic context, leading to pronunciation variation. Phonological categories. So phonological categories refers to group of sounds that share certain properties or functions within a language. So these categories are, first one we say phonemes. So this is the smallest unit of sound that can change the meaning of a word. For example, P and B in pat and bat are distinct phonemes that change the word's meaning. So P and B. So these are bilabial sounds we say P and B. So the example is pat and bat where these are distinct phonemes. Again you can see here when we say phonemes it's distinct sound units. Okay, that change the word's meaning. Next, allophones. Variations of a phoneme that do not change word meaning. For example, top and stop. You can see the aspirated T in top and unaspirated T in stop. Okay, so despite the difference in pronunciation, the meaning does not change. That is allophone. Next is syllables. So unit of sound that contains a vowel as its core and may include consonants. Example is banana, which has three syllables in it. That is B-A-N-A-N-A, banana. Okay. Next is prosodic features. So prosodic features is the suprasegmental features like stress, intonation, and rhythm that affect pronunciation. So there are a few words which we term in these prosodic features. For example, the stress differences in between record, which sometimes is a noun, and versus the record sometimes is a verb. So we know the record, which has two meanings as well. So intonation patterns in questions versus statements also falls under this prosodic features. So then we talk about pronunciation variation. So pronunciation variation occurs when the same word or sound is pronounced differently based on context, dialect or accent, speech rate, social or regional factors. So what are these? We'll see. Uh, Types of pronunciation variations. First, we talk about assimilation. Assimilation is this that one sound becomes similar to a neighboring word. So the example here you see input, INPUT input becomes input, that is IMPUT. So basically when we pronounce these kind of words like input, which becomes input based upon the word which is there as its neighbor. So the N is changes to M due to the influence of the following letter P. So if you observe the N which is there in input N changes to M, that is here you can see IMPUT due to the influence of the following letter P. Okay. So when you say input, so input can be input, right? I mean N can be pronounced as M as well. The influence is of the following letter P. So the cause and effect kind of relationship. So then we have Elysian, where sounds are dropped in faster casual speech. Yes, when we say example is friendship. So when we say friendship, so the D sound is omitted. So friendship. So we doesn't take D and pronounce or stress that particular D in friendship. Rather we say friendship. So this is called Elysian, that is sounds are dropped in faster casual speech. Friendship, right? And next is flapping. So which is common in American English. A T or D sound between vowels is pronounced as quick tap. So for example, butter. So generally we say this as butter. So whereas in American accent, generally it has some kind of flap in that. That is butter. Okay. So where you have this quick tap of R, butter, right? Then it's reduction. So vowels in unstressed syllables are pronounced as a square sound. So square sound example is banana. Next is insertion. An extra sound is added between the sounds for easier pronunciation. So example is athlete. So where we are inserting a square sound here. Okay. Then is metathesis, where sounds are recorded in a word. For example, it's ask, which is common in some dialects. So this is the table which differentiates us. You can see the phonological rules. Phonological rules describe how phonemes are realized as speech sounds in specific contexts. Assimilation, where a sound becomes similar to a nearby sound. Input, and which have become input, that is IMPUT. Next is deletion. A sound is omitted in certain contexts. Example is friendship, where D has been dropped here. Insertion, an extra sound is added. Athlete. Flapping, we talked about American accent. CG is the example. And the example what we had seen in the previous slide was about butter. Next is vowel reduction. Vowels in unstressed syllables become square sound. That is banana is the example. Then we see some of the importance of phonological categories and pronunciation variations in NLP. First one is speech recognition. So recognizing pronunciation variations helps systems transcribe spoken language accurately. So speech recognition is the top priority in this, where recognizing the pronunciation variations helps systems transcribe spoken language accurately. So because the each individual will have their own kind of delivery of the speech, and each and every word has to be understood carefully by the model where we are going to train, and it should deliver a proper and accurate answer. So for this purpose, we definitely need this. Then text to speech. Understanding phonological rules improves naturalness in synthetic speech. Absolutely, right? Language learning applications. Teaching phonemes, allophones, and pronunciation variations helps students acquire correct pronunciation. Accent and dialect recognition. Identifying regional or social pronunciation variations aids in NLP tasks like speaker identification. Next is phonological analysis. Helps linguists study sound patterns and changes in different languages. So these are all the importance for phonological categories and pronunciation variations in NLP. So thank you, students.